We actually want to do a study to like quantify how many available niches there are, because there are so many. Like you said, we still have so many people saying, "Oh, Amazon's dead," or "It's so saturated, there's no opportunity." But there's still so much opportunity.
You're listening to Freedom Fastlane, presented by Capitalism.com. This is the show about building businesses and investing the profits so that you can live life on your terms. And now your host, the future owner of the Cleveland Indians, Ryan Daniel Moran.
I get a lot of questions about what I think of some of Tony Robbins' investment strategies, especially the ones where he talks about assets that can go up in value over time, but don't participate in any downside. I don't agree with all of Tony's investment recommendations, but I do participate in investing in insurance, which is one of the things that he's describing in that strategy. Now, I want to give you a warning. When I went into that investment strategy, I got schmoozed over by a slick salesman, and I wish that I had used a sophisticated firm that was actually dedicated to that. That's why I had WealthPoint on the podcast recently, and I'd encourage you to go listen to that episode about infinite banking. Now, infinite banking isn't the proper term to describe what they do. They actually use a modified version, which is called capital warehousing. But what it basically allows you to do is park cash like you would put it into a bank, participate in the growth of the market without participating in any downside, and you still get access to that capital so that you can put it into other investments. So if you've got money sitting on the sidelines, you might want to use capital warehousing as part of your strategy. So you can go over to gowealthpoint.com/freedom to learn how the strategy works, or you can just listen to the episode that we had with Sam Prentice from WealthPoint here on the podcast. It's called How the Rich Use Infinite Banking for Tax-Free Wealth. One of the most commonly asked questions I'm asked is there still room for new businesses to enter and start on Amazon? Or even if you were starting all over again, would you still choose Amazon as a route to building a profitable business? Or what niche markets still make money on Amazon? It all comes back to, is there still money to be made in the starting phases for a new business on Amazon? So I asked Casey Gauss of Viral Launch what opportunities, what niche markets still have a lot of meat on the bone. What markets should some people consider? And this is what he had to say about finding niches in today's competitive market. What's up, Fastlanders? Ryan Daniel Moran here. And if you have been following anything that we put out or anything at capitalism.com for any length of time, you know that we are all about the fastest path to results and success. And in my experience, one of the reasons we've been able to create so many successful stories with physical products brands is because of one man, this guy right here, Casey Gauss, who has helped create a whole bunch of success stories because of their strategy for ranking on Amazon and helping to create really successful brands. So thanks for all you do in the world, Casey.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
So explain for a little bit, for those of you who don't know who you are or the overall strategy, how it is that you're able to manufacture results from the cloud.
Yeah. So, I would say that probably our biggest advantage is just our perspective on the space, right? So we've worked with a little over 5,500 brands to date in a big range of different capacities, right? And so that gives us a really good perspective. So we're doing everything from helping people with sourcing their products or helping to understand what does this market look like? What products should I be getting into? How profitable will it be when I do? From that stage to once you're ready to get going on Amazon, we're helping you to optimize your listings. We're doing product photography for you just to make sure that your listing is best set up to convert once you're there. And then from there, our biggest service to date, we've done a little over 20-some thousand product launches, and that is running promotions to drive keyword ranking on Amazon, getting you on that first page so that you can get in front of that huge wave of traffic that Amazon is sending. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think that the model, whether you use Viral Launch or use your own list, the whole model for years has been how many sales can you generate in a short amount of time so that Amazon rewards you and sees you as an established brand and ranks you for keywords, and then you can ride that momentum and that cash flow to build out the rest of your product line, to diversify to other channels, to spend money on advertising. But the kickstart, one of the first parts of the process is being able to drive sales as quickly as possible. Even when I was sitting down with Tom Bilyeu, the founder of Quest, they built their business on giving away as much product as possible. This was before these strategies existed, and now we're more sophisticated and we can build $1 million brands even faster by using similar strategies with Amazon. And your entire business is kind of built on the backbone of we can automate that for you. The question that comes up often is like, what is the critical mass point? What should I budget for when I have this business? What do I need to have reserved in order to kind of get past the hump? Get you know what I mean by like, get to profitability by reaching critical mass. What is that?
So definitely don't plan on being profitable in the first 30 days. The longer you can delay profitability, the more profitable you will be in the long run, and the quicker you'll achieve profitability. So what we see people do is, they try to cut the corners and to save money to be more profitable, and it just delays their success. The answer really, there is no, one answer that fits all. It's so highly dependent on the market. And so you really need to be doing your research. We have coaches, it's this free thing that we offer where you can hit us up, even if you've never used Viral Launch, we just like to help people. So you can hit us up, say, hey, I'm selling, this widget, here's my brand, whatever. What is it gonna take for me to have success? How many units do I need to order in this initial run so that, I can be successful right off the bat? And we'll help, dissect your market, tell you what you need to do and how to plan accordingly. So I can't give you any one piece of advice. The biggest advice is don't cut corners and be willing to be aggressive, because if you're not, your competitors are, and you're just losing.
One of the things I learned early in this business was that you should never count anyone out. And this was teaching entrepreneurs for as long as I have been teaching entrepreneurs. Part of me gets cynical when you put a lot of effort into coaching someone or helping someone and they don't do anything with what you teach them. And what I learned once I got into this world and started seeing a lot of success personally and with my students was that the model was predictable enough to where I couldn't, it would be silly for me to count anyone out. And I had this shift when someone who later said to me, he's like, Ryan, I'm a truck driver. I don't get any of this stuff. So you're gonna have to make this real simple for me. And he went on to build a super successful business, and I felt so proud. So what business, either idea or person, has surprised you the most that started off and in most cases people wouldn't give them a shot? They worked with one of your coaches or one of your services and they created a really successful business. Does anyone come to mind?
So, definitely people are skeptical.
He says Ryan Daniel Moran is one guy who knew nothing about business, started using our service.
No, you guys were already doing pretty well. But there's this one particular client that they just continue to come back with a million different questions. They have to have, their handheld, and they're so skeptical of, the model that we teach or what we're trying to coach people through.
Will it work?
Yeah, exactly. So, but finally we convince them to, sometimes it's like the most critical or skeptical people end up, being your best fans, right, which ends up being pretty cool. But so this guy was, insanely skeptical for his product, but he happened to be in the right market at the right time. And we're like, no, you need to push. And finally, he ran a promotion, page one in his first 5 days. He was selling 85 units a day organically. Right off after that launch. It's like a brand new product, just because it's not like this happens every time. He was just in the right market at the right time. And finally, had he continued to question us, I feel like for the next 2 weeks, he would have missed the big wave. So,
It seems like the trend right now, my strategy has always been to build brands and build sellable brands. But what I'm noticing for people who are new to this game and might not be thinking as long-term or strategically as I now think, is that they're looking for small niche markets, or they're looking for kind of pockets and markets. I would call them very specialized brands that target a very specific person. But I'm always surprised that even for as long as we've been talking about Amazon, there are still people who are finding small niches that are untapped.
Yeah.
So I've asked you this publicly in the past. I just want you to reiterate, are those markets still available?
Oh, yeah.
And how do you find them?
Yeah, so we actually want to do a study to quantify how many available niches there are, because there are so many. Like you said, we still have so many people saying, "Oh, Amazon's dead," or "It's so saturated, there's no opportunity." But there's still so much opportunity. So how do you find them? Really, it comes down to just putting in the work, putting in the time. Again, if you're cutting corners, it comes to bite you. And we see so many people that don't want to put in the work, and they go source the vitamin C serum or the grill brush because everybody else did, right? And then they don't have success. But yeah, really one tip is looking for those, ancillary products, right? So if I want to sell a drone, looking at drones, don't look at selling the drone, but think about the accessories that go along with it. Walking through any, retail store and having those ideas, and then just going and looking at the market in Amazon. What is the opportunity? The biggest thing that we coach on looking at is looking at the sales to review ratio. We call it the ROI metric, because reviews are generally the barrier to entry in a particular market. So, if everybody on page one has 1,000 reviews, well, then you need relatively close to 1,000 reviews to hit market potential for sales. And so anyways, if you can find markets where that sales to review ratio is 2 to 3 or 5 to 10, you found yourself a gold mine. So, and in those smaller markets, typically there aren't very many reviews because sellers aren't going after those sexy, unsexy markets. And that's where your opportunity is to come in and, really kill it.
Yeah, the other thing that people don't talk about is that there are always new trends. There are always new markets.
Yeah.
There are always cycles. There are always new products that come out. And my first product ever was one that I saw everywhere in retail stores and advertised all over the internet, and there was very little competition on Amazon. It was exactly what you're outlining. Built a multi-million-dollar business that I then sold for many, many millions of dollars. So that was an emerging trend that I was ahead of. And if I was just looking at the Amazon data, I'd be like, there's no money here.
Yeah.
But because you could see the trend by doing some basic market research, you could see that there was a market there.
Yeah.
And those are always happening. There's always something else coming. So if you use the tools that are at viral launch, or you're looking at the overall strategy, you can take advantage of those opportunities as they become available.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, so one of the questions that comes up is, I think you think more product driven, I think more brand driven, and I kind of think it's both and. So rather than debate should you focus on products or brands, because they both work, I'm curious as to your perspective of when should someone move from one product to adding additional products to the line? When does it make sense to do that? And then I'll give my perspective as well.
Yeah, so I'm huge. The Amazon opportunity is still so big, right? And so I'm huge on moving fast and really kind of adhering to, the 80-20 rule when it comes to making these kinds of decisions, because going into that 80% that is only driving 20% of the results just isn't worth the opportunity cost for you. And so really, I think that you should have a really good expectation or understanding of what maximum sales potential is for your particular market. For some people's markets, it may be 5 sales a day. For some people's markets, it may be 1,000 sales a day. And you really need to understand that, because once you have the system in place, or your product is through the process and it's near maximum sales potential or 80% of maximum sales potential, that's when you need to shift your focus on to sourcing other products or getting into these other markets. And if you have a team, ideally you have people going through all stages all simultaneously, so you can launch as many products as possible. So we see so many people dwell on, maximum sales potential is 100 sales a day, and they're at 80, and they're just spending months and months trying to get that last mile, last 20, and it's just not worth it, because you could launch another product in that same amount of time and get that 80% again. So
yeah, I have found that new products are the thing that have the highest ROI. It's not turning an 80 sale a day product into a 100 a day product. It's taking one product from 0 to 80.
Yeah.
And as fast as you can do that and get that market exposure, that's when those are the people that create multi-million-dollar businesses, they create a big customer base, and that customer base will rally and support behind whatever product it is that you release. I think that's the ticket, and it's why I like brands, because brands create an easy filter for the types of products that you'll end up releasing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the future of what Amazon is going to look like. In the last year, we've seen Amazon acquire Whole Foods. I think they're going to acquire more retail brands. We've seen the algorithm change. At capitalism.com and Freedom Fastlane, we have hundreds of million-dollar success stories of people who have gone from nothing to running multi-million-dollar businesses. And the question always comes up, well, what's the next thing? And I say, well, what's been working forever is still working. But what is the future from somebody who controls more data than anybody in this space? What's the future?
Well, so I definitely think that Amazon is getting more difficult simply because there's more money being invested from brands. There's bigger players coming into the space that have more money to invest, but the opportunity is, I still think that those that are doing well, that are doing, $100K a month plus, or I mean, even less, maybe $50K a month plus, or whatever. If you understand the Amazon space, you're so far ahead of everybody else. And I cannot stress enough how much you need to play to that advantage. And so I definitely think that it will continue to become more difficult to launch new products. But it is still so much easier now than it will be next month or the month after or next year. So definitely would advise people in that way. I think Amazon will definitely be pushing more so into brands or brand registry, right? So if you're brand registered right now, they've recently come out with, AMS ads or brand storefronts, early reviewer programs. So I think that they're going to continue to favor brands, which is a huge advantage to those that are already in brand registry, but those willing to go through the effort. I also think that, to be candid, I think that the traditional launch method will be antiquated, pretty soon.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So in terms of promotions, yeah. Oh, antiquated. Meaning it will kind of be a thing of the past, right? And
I'm sorry to interrupt, but your brand is viral launch.
Yeah.
You are the leader in this space, and you're saying maybe this won't be around forever. I'm just curious about this. That's kind of a bold thing to say. So expound.
They always say, if you're not putting yourself out of business, somebody else will. I think in this case, the most likely player would be Amazon, right? And just in so much as the rules changing. And again, I just think the whole launch model is ripe for being kind of innovated on. And so we're working on these strategies, but I suspect other people as well. I guess that's not very actionable insight. Yeah.
Well, what do you think is going to be, if this is not going to be around forever, meaning this particular marketing strategy may lose some value in the future? Do you have any? If we're going to speculate on that, let's speculate about what might replace it.
Well, so I just think that there will be more sophisticated methods of not just promotions, but selling in general, right? Where Amazon was a lot more of, this lifestyle business. And we've kind of talked about this, where it was so easy to just throw products up there, they do well, send them through viral launch, and okay, now I can just kick back on the beach. But more and more, because of the level of competition, it just is requiring more sophisticated players to come in, and those that are being a lot more diligent about what's working today and what is going to be working tomorrow, and setting themselves up well for that, setting myself up with great brands, right? Great aesthetic, and having this cohesive line of products helps me to have success. Whereas before, it didn't really matter if you didn't have that great of photos, or if you didn't have other products to bounce your customers around on. Basically, all this to say, I think what's working now will be amplified more and more as competition continues to increase. But I think that things like giveaways will lose some of their effectiveness.
Interesting. So my perspective, my prediction is I think we're going to see more specialization, particularly in brands. Now, of course, to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I'm a brand guy. I think having a scalable, sellable brand is the way that you build a really successful business quickly. It's why we teach that inside the Brand Builder Bootcamp, why I think we have so many multi-million-dollar success stories. But the example that comes to mind is like a micro brand or going really small or specializes. There's a member of our Backroom Mastermind, which is a group of people doing 7 figures on their way to 10 or above. We work on getting them ready for sales, thinking of a multi-million-dollar exit. We help them do roll-ups to increase their valuation. His name is Andy, and he sells knives to video gamers. That is a very specific market.
Yeah.
And you would not think of that as a huge business. But because he goes after such a small, rabid fan base, we would call it small in comparison to vitamin C serum.
Yeah.
But because it's a small crowd, price and profit margins are higher, brand loyalty is higher, the amount of the market that he can control is higher. And so he has a multi-million-dollar business selling something that doesn't meet the traditional criteria.
Yeah.
My first business did not meet the criteria of a Amazon business, which is why I hate that term. But when you focus on a group of people and if you're going after a smaller market, like we're talking about these small niche markets, you don't need to rely on hacks as much to be able to win the game. And I think that is just smart business.
Hey guys, this is Ryan, and I wanted to take a quick second to talk to you because I know that you listen to the show because you're a different type of entrepreneur. You are building something. You probably run multiple projects. You are beyond the point of trying to make a little bit of side money. You are thinking about the long term, and you are thinking about which of your projects is going to be your empire. You're starting to think like a real business, and you're also looking for investment opportunities that are going to grow your wealth, are going to increase your cash flow, and make you free for life so that you can live life on your own terms. I know that's you because it's also me, and that's why we hang out. And if I'm describing you, then I'm encouraging you, inviting you to grab your ticket to the Capitalism Conference. We've already announced a bunch of our celebrity keynotes who have built $100 million and even billion-dollar empires. We're bringing in a panel of investment experts that are going to talk about cryptocurrency and what's going on in the economy, as well as some marketing and sales experts, which specialize in physical products and online brands so that you can grow your business beyond 7 figures, scale to 8 figures, and even plant the seeds for the 9-figure, $100 million empire. I know that you've got your sights set on something big, and all of my big breakthroughs have come from events. But I was always frustrated with the types of events that I went to because I thought it was mostly small-minded people, and there wasn't the ability to pick the brains of the individuals who have really built something great. So if you want the playbook to building an 8 or a 9-figure business, as well as the playbook to building a team that builds your business for you and grows your marketing and sales channels bigger than Amazon, and you want passive income and to pay less taxes and long-term wealth from your investments, then this is a can't miss, must not miss event. These tickets will sell out, so go to thecapitalismconference.com to grab your ticket and reserve your seat. This is the only place where you're going to be around big-level entrepreneurs who have built something and are coming back to give you the playbook. And if you get one of our elite access passes, you'll actually get out of your seat and go with the speakers backstage and meet with them one-on-one. This level of access does not happen often. We do it once a year, and this year it's December 7th, 8th, and 9th in Austin, Texas at the Capitalism Conference.
Amazon.com is becoming more and more competitive. So a question often comes up of how do you compete when things are being saturated by well-funded companies who are moving into the space? I asked Casey Gauss of Viral Launch this question, and he had a surprising answer about how much money there is still left to be made by going after overlooked niches that most of the big players ignore. Here's what he had to say. Do you have any secret pockets of the market that you track? For example, I like to look at really expensive products in expensive markets because most people are not willing to put in the work to get through those barriers to entry. So I like to track those markets. Are there any pockets that you like to look at?
Yeah, the pockets that I generally tend towards are those that have really pretty low sales volume, at least from the perspective of bigger sellers, right? Generally, for a bigger seller, if it's worth their time, they want to be selling, at least 3 to 10,000 units a month or something, right? So I really am actually a fan of these markets that are selling kind of irrespective of the price. So the price doesn't matter so much, where they're selling 500 units or less, actually, because the probability of a large seller coming into that small of a market is low, right? So you're kind of flying under the radar, and you don't have to put that much effort into pushing it to success. And so you basically, get to enjoy, maybe it's small sales, but you can just go launch 10 products that are selling 300 units a month, and now you're selling 3,000 units a month, right? And so just, I have a friend, they do just under 30 million a year just playing that game of really small products. Yeah, they have thousands of SKUs.
30 million is a large amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just checking, yeah.
Yeah. But they just play that game. They fly under the radar, and so they don't have these fires happening at a SKU level, right? Or if Amazon suspends a product, they don't lose that much, right? Do they want to be suspended? No. Does it happen much? But I am a huge fan of that model.
Man, I'm just always so surprised at how entrepreneurs find a way to make a buck. And is there, you said irrespective of price.
Yeah.
Do you mean that profits, like the prices are higher, or you mean they don't discriminate?
They don't discriminate.
So any kind of micro or smaller market that they just find an opportunity and they will go into.
Yep. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Just selfishly, I want to ask you about expensive products because that's something that I find interesting. When you're looking, something like I'll just say paddle boards. Paddle boards can be they're hard to ship, harder to source, harder to test, big barrier to entry. You're not going to have nearly as many people blasting. You're not going to have nearly as many people. You're going to have more brands and less aggressive people on that, right?
For sure.
So how does that change the strategy? Because giving away products for $1 or $5 or even $10, it's much more expensive to do that because your cost of goods is much higher. How does the strategy change in that scenario?
So it depends. So typically, yes, right? Whereas it doesn't make sense to run a promotion because you are just going to be spending an insane amount of money. It depends on, what is the sales volume. Let's say it's a very expensive, very large item, but sales volume is, 5,000, 10,000 units a month or even 3,000 units a month. Well, that's a lot of sales to go and compete with. That's 100 sales a day that if you're running a promotion, well, that's 700 units that you have to give away at a discounted price. So typically the answer would be don't run promotions, right? But in some scenarios, it does make sense. And if we can sell your paddleboard through our audience at your break-even cost, well, then that's fine.
That's huge.
Yeah. And so sometimes we can't. Someone just did one of those hoverboard things. They moved them at $75 through our list, which is, I think, about cost for them. So it makes sense for them. But in those markets where it doesn't make sense, right off the bat, I would suggest going, obviously you have to have a killer listing, of course. You can never skimp on that, but just run some sponsored ads, some AMS campaigns, and see how well you're able to pick up some traction. I would also suggest maybe looking at, if you have a list, then you can't beat that. And then potentially running some external traffic, whether it be Facebook ads or something like that. At the end of the day, you just need sales to drive that keyword ranking. And the cheapest, easiest way that you can get those ads where you're not wasting a bunch of time, or those sales, if you're not wasting a bunch of time, that's the way that you need to do it.
One of my superpowers has been helping entrepreneurs, specifically physical product brands, grow to 6 figures per month as quickly as possible. We have hundreds of success stories of people who have done this. But Casey Gauss of Viral Launch has helped hundreds, more people than I can count, because I can only count to a few hundred, create multi-million-dollar businesses. And so I asked him to comment how physical product owners can make the pivot from going from 6 figures a month all the way to 7 figures per month. Here's what he had to say. What do you think is when someone has proven a concept, they're able to launch a product successfully, they're able to get to that 6 figures a month point, what do you think is the next step for them as a business?
Yeah.
I work with so many entrepreneurs who get stuck at that point. I consider it my job inside the back room and inside of the tribe to help people start to make that pivot and build what I would consider a real business from here. Like, great, you figured out how to sell product, now let's build a real business. But does Viral Launch fit into that strategy to help them grow? And what do you think is that pivot point for people who are already at that point and want to go bigger?
Yeah, so I think there's a few things here. One, you definitely should be building a team, whether that's VAs or whatever, to get yourself out of the way so that you can continue to operate at a higher and higher level, right? Like, okay, you've gotten here, but now you need to go here, and you can't stretch yourself that thin. And so you need to put people in place to handle the things that, maybe aren't your strengths, or that somebody can just go do because it's a routine thing, going and checking listings and making sure you still have the buy box or whatever. Those things you need to be outsourcing. So definitely putting the team in place and getting out of the way. The second thing is, we've talked about this, but people get to this point and they are so excited, but at the same time, they're so fearful that they're going to lose what they already have. And so they spend so much time trying to protect what they have that they end up losing, market share in Amazon, and they really lose, kind of that steam that they have forward. And so I think the biggest answer is to launch more products, right? Like, people forget how they got to where they are, and the way they got to where they are is from launching products. And through this process, they already know how to do it. If you're selling $100,000 a month plus in sales, you know how to launch products on Amazon, right? So just do that more. If you have 6 products, launch 6 more products, now you're at 200K or whatever.
Well, I totally agree, but I also see the other side where people run into a point where they then become the bottleneck because they can only handle so many products. What do you say to somebody in that situation?
Well, so would the answer of building a team help to solve that?
I mean, that's usually my answer. It's
like,
all right, now we got to teach you how to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Who actually runs a real business. Like, congratulations, you hit the next challenge in your life.
Yeah.
Which is figure out how to run a real business. You actually did that successfully. You were on a team of 30-ish people now. And you're like 12 years old. So
a little bit older.
Like, that is a hard pivot to make, especially when you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you?
I mean, it's a huge learning opportunity. In like the next...
That's a great way to put it. It was a great learning opportunity.
I'm really passionate about learning. So, I aspire, like everybody else that's an entrepreneur, to have, this huge business someday, right? And to do that, you have to learn a lot. You have to have a team to get there. So I'm excited to learn, what is it like to have 10 people? What is it like to have 20 people in office? All these things, because that means I'm that much closer to that big business that I want to have, right? So that's why it's cool from a learning perspective. But, for the most part, it's been pretty cool. We're at a really pivotal point. So like you said, in the next 2 to 4 weeks, we'll have 35 people, and we've kind of begun hiring adults, I like to say. So people that have worked at, some Fortune 500s that have, 15 years of experience or whatever, and they know how to do this. They know how to, scale an engineering team or a product team or manage HR or whatever. So that's where there's a lot of learning, and I'm excited to learn from them as well. It's been cool for the most part. It's like, okay, we need someone to write listings for people. Okay, well, so we'll hire someone that knows how to write listings or is a good copywriter. And then, now that person's too busy. Now we'll hire another one. Okay, now we'll hire another one. So that's been pretty simple. But hiring for looking ahead, I think, so versus defensive, we have all these customer emails coming in, so now we need to hire another coach or another customer success person. That's pretty straightforward, but when it comes to I want to hire a director of marketing or whatever, well, if I'm not a marketer, which I'm not, that becomes that much more difficult because now I need to hire somebody that isn't similar to myself or doesn't have necessarily this very specific skill set, right? Shooting photos, that's pretty straightforward. So that's been huge on learning, and I think the big thing is just protecting your culture initially, because if you have someone that may do the job well, but is terrible for the team, that's scary for everybody involved. So yeah.
But I'm amazed you talk about this like it's not a big deal, but this is your first real success as an entrepreneur, and you've scaled to 30 people and have a real culture, like how? I mean, I have not built a team that big. I have not made that pivot. So like, what are you doing that myself and other entrepreneurs in my situation are not
I don't know.
figuring out?
Maybe I just like to really plan ahead for success, right? So like maybe we don't need a director of engineering right now, but he's going to help us down the road. So I don't know. Huge.
But you've done this. Like, you haven't raised capital, right?
Yeah. No.
And you've remained profitable.
Yeah.
And you've maintained a culture and hired all these people. Like this does not happen, Casey. So
I appreciate it.
Like, what are you doing?
Helping people. I guess that's the answer, right? Is like, that's the one thing that everybody on the team kind of engenders, and that, I'm really passionate about, is just helping people. There's all these quotes. I don't have one off the top of my head, but if you help enough people, there's this quote: if you help enough people, then you'll get what they want, then one day you'll get what you want. And I don't know who said that, but anyways, we're really passionate about helping people. And I think because we are helping people, and sometimes to such a big degree, right? Like we have all these case studies where in the first 3 months you go from nothing to 85K a month or something, right? So in significant ways, I guess the money comes in from that or something.
But I know a lot of people who get to maybe 7 or 8 people, and then their lives are completely monopolized of just managing other people.
Yeah.
You just seem to have cruised through that stage and gone to like middle management, and now you're hiring C-level people.
Yeah.
How'd you cruise through that so easily?
Yeah. I think maybe part of it is just making sure we're hiring people that are good at managing themselves, and then setting up a good structure of them reporting to you, and then putting someone that is like, this girl is really great at copywriting, and she is very organized. Okay, now you're the lead copywriter. So then all the other copywriters report to her. She reports to me. But I still try to have like a good relationship with all the copywriters, because again, I think culture and having a team that's really excited about the vision. Yeah, I'm bored.
So at first you're hiring for skill to create a service, and then more people to support them, and the leading person on that team starts to emerge. They become the team lead, and now you have your direct reports sort of emerging.
Like, I like the safe bet, right? So it's very intimidating for me to hire someone to be a manager from outside, because I don't know if you're good at managing the team, if you're going to work well with me and the people there. And also, I think you really need to understand the perspective of the people you're managing, and who's better to understand that perspective than someone that's been doing it for a while. And so a lot of people we kind of raise up. So this guy's killing it as a coach. Okay, now you're the lead coach. And so and that's cool, because then we want to be the launch pad to success, both for our clients and people internally. And so we give people this opportunity to like come in at the ground level, or, at whatever level, but then become, whatever it is they aspire to become. And so they're going to work so much harder, and they're really going to put forth their effort, but they're going to be really responsible. So there's a lot less, management on my end.
Yeah, I think the lesson here for entrepreneurs who are running 6-figure businesses is at some point to go from 6 figures a month to 7 figures a month, if you want to make that pivot, is you have to have support. And most people don't get out of their way. You got out of your way and got people to really help you build this vision.
Yeah.
And most entrepreneurs don't make that transition because they're so attached to the money in the bank, which I think is smart for a while, and then you have to make that pivot. And what I'm hearing you say is you hired for skill, and then this most skilled person emerged. And that's a model that I think physical product owners and internet entrepreneurs can follow, where they're starting to get things off their plate so that they can continue doing the things that produce the greatest ROI. And the best people emerge, and those become the people that build the rest of the team. It's really a bottom-up structure.
Yeah, you should be looking at hiring someone as like an upgrade, right? Now I have somebody that can do this thing. Now I can do so much more. Yeah, right. I get really excited about that.
Yeah, good. Well, I mean, I think we so forget that there's an ROI on our time and our energy, and that by you focusing on the right things, it's the only way that a business really grows.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Casey, you have changed so many people's lives, including my own. I'm proud to have been part of your journey. I was hearing about the business from the infant stages, and you have blown everybody's expectations out of the water above. And the business success and also the impact you've had in all these entrepreneurs. I obviously believe that entrepreneurs are the solution to all the world's greatest problems. We need as many entrepreneurs as possible, and you have created a lot of them. So thanks for what you do in the world, man.
I appreciate
you.
Thank you.
Hey, if you run a physical products brand, or you have been listening to us talk, or you listen to me talk about this model for any length of time and you're ready to quit kidding around and get off the sidelines, then you can head over to Viral Launch and get both the support and all the services that will help you do that. Plus, our training is called the Brand Builder Bootcamp, which will show you how to identify who your market is, what your products are going to be, how to take them to Amazon. We're going to recommend that you use Viral Launch to kickstart your product promotions and get you to the level that you want to be as quickly as possible. So if you are wanting to follow that model, or you know somebody who is, please share this video with someone who you know wants to be an entrepreneur or wants to get their business off the ground. Casey Gauss, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks so much, man.
Hey Fastlaners, Ryan Daniel Moran here, and if you've been listening to me for any length of time, you know that it's really important to me to deconstruct the how-to behind extraordinary results. It fascinates me to find out how some people grow $100 million companies or billion-dollar companies or invest for wealth and cash flow. And I am all about deconstructing that how-to piece so that we can pass it on to you, and also so that I can benefit from being able to implement those same strategies. Every December, I assemble people who have done extraordinary things, like built billion-dollar companies, or who have avoided excess taxation, or have built a company overnight, and I put them on stage at a year-end event, and we deconstruct the habits that have made them successful. We used to call it Freedom Fastlane Live. Now we call it the Capitalism Conference. And this year, we've invited a different set of speakers than you would normally see at a business seminar or conference, because we've only invited people who have been the actual builders of something great. So, you might not recognize their names, but you will absolutely recognize what they have done. So if you want the playbook to building a billion-dollar company, you will get it at the Capitalism Conference. If you want the playbook to investing for long-term wealth and cash flow while protecting your downside risk or having infinite upside, you will get that at the Capitalism Conference. If you want the playbook to building an A-player team of people who will build your company to the level that you desire, you will get it at the Capitalism Conference. And I'm telling you all of this because, as I record this, tickets for the Capitalism Conference just went on sale. Now, I know that there are a ton of conferences that you could go to, and you can't go to all of them. Plus, we have our event in December, which means that it's right before holiday season, but it's also the last time that you can get a write-off before the end of the year. But I believe, and I think that you have seen this, that things are changing really quickly. Cryptocurrency has the potential to disrupt everything. Amazon.com is changing. It's going into retail. More competitors are entering the market. Private equity groups are changing the way that they invest. And we're sitting at a time right now where looking at the economy and looking at certain strategic investments mean a lot more than they have in the past. Because of all of these changes, it's more important than ever that you are surrounded in an environment and a network of people who are on the same path and have done what you want to do in the past and are coming back with decades of experience to show you the way. You're going to get that at the Capitalism Conference, because the Capitalism Conference is the only place where people who have actually done it and are actively doing it come back and share their experience and deconstruct the how-to behind their success, the how-to to building real companies, the how-to to going from 0 to 8 or 9 figures in a short amount of time, and the how-to take advantage of all of these coming changes that are on the horizon for entrepreneurs. You and I both know that people who take advantage of massive changes get filthy rich as a result of being on the cutting edge, while everyone who tries to get in later gets slaughtered because they get in too late and they miss the opportunities. At the Capitalism Conference, we're going to go into these changes and we're going to talk about how to use them in your business. You're also going to stay light years ahead of your competitors because you're going to be finding out about different ways to market your products and services, position your businesses, and grow in a way that your competitors are not currently doing. But ultimately, events are about the people that you meet. And because of the way we do things at the Capitalism Conference, we tend to attract a very specific type of person. We attract entrepreneurs with a big vision. We attract investors who are forward thinking. And we attract a higher level person with deeper pockets. So as a result of coming to the Capitalism Conference, yes, you'll leave with the playbook to building a bigger company and growing your business faster. But even more importantly, you'll expand your Rolodex with people who want to invest in your next startup, join you in the building of the vision you have for your company, or who have a vision for bigger success than most, if not all, of the other groups, masterminds, and conferences where everyone else is hanging out. And as a result, you'll be running alongside people who have the same big vision as you of doing something great. That just tends to be the nature of the type of people that we attract at the Capitalism Conference, and you will be in good company when you come hang out with them this December in Austin, Texas, when you attend the event. It's this December 7th, 8th, and 9th in Austin, and you will walk away with the playbook for extraordinary success in business, life, and investing. And you'll walk away with a new set of contacts and potential partners who will support you along the way. This is the thing that I am most proud of that we do here at capitalism.com and Freedom Fastlane. It's also the hardest thing we do, the most expensive thing we do, the least profitable thing that we do, but it is the thing that I enjoy and am most proud of that we do here. And I want you to be there this December in Austin. I want to hang out, shake your hand, introduce you to the people that we have on stage. And if you're an Elite Access member, I want you to join me backstage when I actually introduce you to the people who are keynoting and speaking at the event. This year, we're doing a couple things differently, including doing strategic hands-on breakouts that allow you to interact in a more intimate setting and get specific help on your business so that you'll leave with a clear set of action items that are going to have you cruising into 2018 and be ahead of everybody else. Tickets are now open, and you can get them at thecapitalismconference.com. Please note that we've already pre-sold a few hundred tickets as a result of doing a blind, super early bird sale earlier this year. This is the first time that we're going public with the sale of tickets. And since this is our third year doing it, we've proven that we actually have a reputation for this, so we have more interest than we have ever had. We have increased capacity, but not by a ton, so I'm encouraging you to book the time on your calendar now and grab a ticket at thecapitalismconference.com. I can't wait to see you there. This is always a huge up level for every entrepreneur who walks through the door, and you'll be going into 2018 with a bigger vision, more momentum, more support, and a clear idea of how you are going to kill it over the next 12 months. Can't wait to see you there. Head to thecapitalismconference.com to grab your ticket, and we'll be hanging out this December. See you there.